This is the 10-Minute Law Firm Podcast, brought to you by Rocket Matter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Port with Rocket Matter, and this is the 10-Minute Law Firm Podcast. I have with me today Alex Malahi. He is the founder and CEO of Woodpecker, and you can go to woodpeckerweb.com. They make document automation software for smaller firms. And Alex, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for having me.
So not to question Alex's judgment in any way, but he used to live in San Diego and decided to upgrade his weather situation to Chicago. So, but for good reasons. It has to do with, it involves Northwestern, which is my alma mater. So I applaud him. So Alex, from one CEO to another, tell me about how did you get started and how did you develop the courage to even do this thing? So what's your story?
Yeah. So I think I was telling you a little earlier that it's sort of a combination of blind optimism, right? Which I think you kind of have to be an entrepreneur, and convincing myself that the people out here that are doing this and that are really successful are they're no smarter than you or I, right? So why can't one of us try to affect some change in the world and get to work on some cool software in the process.
So, and you're like me, right? You have an engineering background. You're not an attorney.
Correct. Yep.
Right. So how did you know that attorneys even needed something like this?
Yeah, a lot of research is the short answer. Both before we even wrote a single line of code and after we had a public beta. We knew there was this document automation problem, not even just in legal, but across all sorts of industries and use cases. And so when we first made Woodpecker available to the world, we basically just interviewed literally every single person that would use it, and determined that ultimately the biggest opportunity and the biggest pain was in legal. And so we doubled down on solo small law firms and specifically on the legal use case, and then just started building stuff specifically for attorneys.
Gotcha. And what we discussed which is kind of funny because it's exactly 10 years after we started, 2017, correct?
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about, and what brave soul was the first law firm to test this thing out?
Good question. It was our first customer is a smaller firm in Alabama. I'm not sure that I'm allowed to say their name, but they're a small firm. They're, I think, 20 or 30 people. And they, they basically were in effect like beta testers. We would get on the phone, at least once a week for several months and iron out all the bugs and give them exactly what they needed. And ultimately they agreed to pay us for it one day.
Are you going after people who think maybe hot docs is too complex? Is that the market that you're trying to serve?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're a solo small law firm, right, and you understand the benefits of document automation, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've used it in the past, the major options for you out there are something like a Hot Docs or a Contract Express, or if you want to stay in Word, something like a form tool. But the problem with the Hot Docs of the world is that oftentimes it's really meant for larger firms, more enterprise grade, sort of large onboarding processes, 6 to 24 month onboarding processes
to implement, right?
Yeah, to implement and actually involve hiring consultants and signing maintenance and support contracts. And folks who have used Hot Docs, I don't have to really harp on this anymore. They're a little tough to deal with, not just from the customer service perspective, but also from the product perspective. So the idea with Woodpecker is to give folks the ability to actually have anyone on your team use document automation, get up and running really, really quick without having to read a binder full of instructions or sit through a 6-week training course. The idea is if your paralegal wants to add an extra option to a dropdown, they shouldn't have to go hire the Hot Docs consultant for 3 hours of work and wait 6 weeks to have that change made, right? That's the idea.
So, all right. Thanks for that explanation. I think that gives people a lot of context. So I think what we need to do is we need to see it in action. And by the way, so this is like a cooking show. So Alex is on, he is going to make his pound cake recipe. So, he's going to demonstrate how Woodpecker is going to work. And this is, by the way, I'm going to tell you, Alex, that this is no pressure. We have never done this before on the 10-Minute Law Firm podcast. Awesome. So, but this is the first time we're going to do a little product demonstration. So I'm going to see, I don't know if this is even going to be captured in the recording. I am going to make the screen share bigger. All right. So I have a Word document up here and it looks like there's something in the sidebar that says Woodpecker. So what am I looking at here?
Yeah, so basically what you're looking at is, of course, Woodpecker over on the side of this document. We're in Microsoft Word. To launch Woodpecker, this little window, you basically click on this little Woodpecker automation button here, which gets
Gotcha.
automatically added to your home tab whenever you install it from our website or the Microsoft Office store, whatever. And the idea here is that because Woodpecker is a Word-first Microsoft Office add-in, it's basically a web application that runs within Word itself, so you can have your document on one side and Woodpecker on the other.
Got it.
So whenever someone's starting off, right, we're starting off with a brand new document that we might have prepared for a previous client. We might have tried to sort of like templatize it ourselves by highlighting stuff, bracketing stuff, whatever. It might even be an existing Hot Docs or Contract Express template. Doesn't matter. What we've done is we've put a lot of effort into the template creation process and automating as much of it as possible, because that's the biggest problem in document automation is the actual template creation process and how
Yeah,
long
creating a
it takes
template
to
like scares people.
Exactly. So what we've done is we've developed some natural language processing and some AI in the form of what we call our auto template engine. So whenever we're starting from scratch, what we're going to do is we're going to run the auto template engine on this document, which basically analyzes the doc for terminology it thinks is likely to change. And like I said, that could be placeholders, highlights, people's names, dates, addresses, organization names, Hot Docs placeholders, whatever it is. Casts
Gotcha.
a very wide net. And
So we have a date field and we have, all right, cool.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
go ahead, walk me through it. What
Yeah.
the first couple of those?
So basically what we're looking at, right, and what auto template is and what it isn't are very important. So auto template is not a catch-all for everything. It's going to pick out stuff that you don't want. It's going to miss stuff that you do want, but that's okay, because the idea is that ultimately it's taking a first pass. It's automating as much of this as it possibly can for you. And at this point, we can go through these suggestions, these field suggestions, accept or reject them, and then ultimately add on custom fields like conditional logic, formula calculations, what have you, when we need them. So basically what we got here is a list of suggestions, each with a number of occurrences that it found in the doc. If I click on one of these arrows here, it's going to allow me to navigate across instances of that suggestion. This first one, for example, is a date, right? It's something that I want to keep. I want to turn it to a field. This next one, however, Delaware General Corporation, it picked out because Delaware was in there, but it missed law at the end. This also isn't something that's probably going to change. So I could actually go and reject that suggestion. We would do the same thing for the rest of these. Board of directors, I would reject that. The rest of these that I bracketed, I know that those are things I want to turn into variable fields, so I'll leave them. We go to company county, it's highlighted, California, California Corporation's code, I don't need that. And finally, zip, something I highlighted. So if we click create these fields now, what Woodpecker's going to do is go through the whole document, create fields out of these pieces of terminology that it's found that I've accepted. And then
Look at it go.
Yeah, it does its thing, right? So this is the part that would have been manual, right? You would have had to go look up a binder full of placeholders to actually know what to put into each of these places in the doc, right? And it would take you a long time. So this is the automated part. And what we'll end up with is a simple form over on the right that we can now fill out, which will populate the document. We can add to, we can edit, we can do whatever we want. And at that point, now we have a template.
That is super cool. So right here, okay, so now what we have is the document has been made as a template. So how does it work? So is this going to be, this template now, is it going to be stored somewhere for future use if you want to do it over and over and over again?
Great question. The shortcut to do that is this little floppy disk up here in the header. So Woodpecker has what we call the Woodpecker document collection, which is basically just like a shared drive for your master Woodpecker templates, gets shared across your whole team. It's where you store your templates. So
Right.
if we were done at this point, I would just click on Save Current Document to my collection. It's now going to save that template to the collection, automatically make it available to everyone else on my team. And now I can use this template individually, in bulk, wherever I want to do with it.
That's great. So then you enter the information on the fields to the right and you're done.
Exactly. Yeah. So we can just enter in some dummy data here. Just do
Wow.
the first three. I click populate. You're going to see the doc sort of shift a little bit over on the left as all of the data gets filled in. Of course, we don't have anything really fancy here. We just have single line text fields, but we could, of course, layer on conditional logic or formula calculations, clauses, what have you. And the idea is that now I've generated this certificate of incorporation for Acme. I would go and do a file, save it as, certificate of incorporation for Acme Inc., send it off to them, and I'm done.
Very cool. So thank you so much. This was very successful for our inaugural product demonstration on the 10-Minute Law Firm podcast. Alex, Woodpecker is coming on board as like one of our partners here at Rocket Matter. So that's exciting too.
Yep.
Alex, if somebody would like to get in touch with you, how should they do so or learn more about Woodpecker? Yeah,
so they can go to our website. It's just woodpeckerweb.com. Alternatively, my email is amelehy, AMELEHY @woodpeckerweb.com. You can also reach out to us at hello@woodpeckerweb.com.
Alex, thank you so much for being with us today. This was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
This is the 10-Minute Law Firm podcast. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to rate and review so we can keep bringing you awesome content.